name is Kyle Brubaker, and thank you for joining me on this week's edition of Talking Out with Groff Funeral Homes and Crematory. Today I want to focus on what is a funeral. A funeral is remembering, celebrating, and honoring the life of a loved one who has passed away. And many of the specific customs that will happen during a service depends on the religion of the family and the religion of the deceased. Obviously, we're accustomed to a lot of different religions, and we accommodate all religions, but one of the most common religions and one of the most common services we see is a Christian funeral. There are three main points to a Christian funeral, and I want to go over those with you and the history of those and why we do those. Generally, for a Christian service, there's a visitation, a funeral service, and a procession to a cemetery. And I want to explain to you why those things are traditionally done in a Christian funeral. So when Jesus would go into a community, the very first thing he would do is he would gather the people. He would gather them together. He would gather the entire community together because he understood that we do better corporately than individually. We always do better together in a group. And this mimics the visitation that we have at the funeral home. We gather the community, we gather the people to support the family of the deceased. Secondly, after Jesus would gather everyone, he would preach the word. And this mimics the funeral service. We have a minister lead the funeral service who preaches the word. And thirdly, after Jesus died on the cross, he was taken down from the cross and he was carried to his tomb. He was carried to his final resting place. And this mimics the act of the procession, processing the deceased from the funeral home to the cemetery, which is their final resting place, with the family and the loved ones immediately following. We all process to the cemetery for the final resting place. Those three main elements of a Christian service mimics the path Jesus took while he was with us. Thank you for joining me on this week's edition of Talking Out with Groff Funeral Homes and Crematory, and as always, I'll see you next week.